you all. So the whole day, I mean, thank you for all the speakers. I don't know if you're here or not, but everything you said from the morning when I was sitting here till what I've heard now, I have lived it, okay? So I've been in the industry for a long time, and what I want to share is my story through the last many, many years of being a person who started in school, college, and what I do now, which is head up IT for Align Technology. For people who don't know Align Technology, we make clear aligners to replace braces for the industry. We are completely digital, so the language of digital, the language of software, the language of machine learning, the language of AI, we live and breathe it. We do it. Okay? So for me, I'll just move away from here. So I have 30 plus years of experience. So, you know, the first speaker, she talked about as your kids, as parents, teach your kids to take risks. You don't have to make your kids the way you are. So I came from born in India, and my mother was a doctor, my dad was a foreign service agent, and they let me do whatever I wanted to do. So that taught me that in my 30 plus years, so number one, I carry multiple passports. I can actually work anywhere in the world. And that required me to plan and think through. So even though I am technology, but I'm business and I'm management. Okay? So what I want to share with you is in the 30 plus years, the one thing that my father told me as a kid was, when you're working, you should not be 30 plus years doing the same thing. You need to be doing 30 different things through your 30 years of career. So which is why I worked in high tech. I started with HP. I worked in energy, which is the oil and gas energy companies. I have worked in life science, which is where I am now. And then I worked in R&D. I have worked in marketing. I have worked in sales, customer care, IT. And why this is important, many of the speakers today talked of skills. Even though my background is technology, I consciously learned skills in every different facet of a company. And the reason being, you need to know how a company works to be able to expand your experience. So for all of you who are looking at skills, please don't think of skills as just being growing in technology, growing in AI, but look at the opportunities sales offers, look at the opportunities marketing offers, look at the opportunities customer care offers. And all of them are moving to AI. All of them are technology driven. Okay. So the key for me has been work and life actually helping each other. So for me, it wasn't there is work and there is life. I learned a lot from people. I've learned a lot with kids and all that. So they marry each other to make me who I am. So born in India. Okay? Now, when you're born in India, there are social norms you are grown with. I was actually fortunate with my parents, my father having studied in Holland, my mother coming from what is now Pakistan. I was fortunate to have parents from different cultures who tried to teach me to think for myself. How many of you have gone to your parents and said, just give me an answer? In my case, if I went to my dad and asked for an answer, he would say, here's the 5 history books you can read and figure out what the answer is. So, but that helped me research. Through one of the skills all of us need to do And even though there was a conversation about AI in schools, remember, I don't know how many of you remember the time when calculators were not allowed in exams. And today, calculators are allowed in exams. They just changed the question. The question is now around, do you actually understand what is being asked of you? Not a single answer. Okay? I did my undergraduate in mathematics. And why mathematics? Because I was interested in maths and I thought it's cool. And at that time, I realized one thing, which is there are very few jobs in pure mathematics unless you go and join a university to teach and do higher studies, and I didn't want to do that. So I applied for a job with IBM as an intern. I got in, and they took me into programming. I learned programming, but I didn't like IBM. Not for anything else, but they expected you to follow certain discipline, and I said, no, I don't like this. I then applied for migration to Melbourne, more from learning a different culture, a different country. And I was about 18 years old when I did that, straight out of college. And my parents actually let me go. I had no friends, I had nothing in Melbourne, but it was just, when you're young, you take risks. I took a risk. Okay? I went there for higher studies. I did my graduate degree. I actually did a graduate degree in, again, computer science. Got married, stayed home for 2 years. And why I stayed home was new place. I got married young, by the way. And why did I get married young? It was more a question of, and had a kid young, it was I wanted to be young enough to be able to play with my kid when they are in the age of playing. I was fortunate that I was able to do that. But a story in Australia is, while I was studying, I applied for a job at Australia Post. And one of the things, this little guy who interviewed me, I got great marks. I passed the entrance exam, and I go in for an interview, and the guy tells me, you're the wrong kind of Mary. I said, what do you mean, what wrong kind of Mary? He said, well, I was expecting a white person. I just walked out, literally just walked out. Because I realized then that it's not somebody I want to report and work for. That they were closed-minded. And talk of bias in AI, there is bias in people. And so you have to learn to accept that. And at that point, I knew what I was, what my strength was, and I said, I'm walking out. I can find a job. Okay? So I took the 2 years off from there, and then I joined Hewlett-Packard. That was the best decision I have made. I don't know how many in Armenia know about Hewlett-Packard. Okay? Okay, so I did my 20-year stint in Hewlett-Packard. At Hewlett-Packard, I joined in HP Labs as an R&D engineer. And then they'll actually let me work through marketing, sales. And the good part is I never applied for a job. I used to reach out, put networks and connections. So I said, okay, I want to do a sales job. I had this goal which says, in the first 10 years of my career at Hewlett-Packard, I do want to learn how the company operates. So I'm okay to make lateral moves with no promotions, just to learn. So that's the message I do give when I mentor people today, is I do share with them that you don't have to go up the ladder. You can go across the ladder. Your career will come with you. Because now you have way more experience, learning different things. You're way more valuable. The ambassador was talking about us, that being more humans, always knowing a bit more than the machine. That's the skill you need to build, is knowing a bit more than somebody else. Okay? So then I realized that one of the skills I had was people. I loved people, I loved working with people, I was able to influence and change behaviors, and I did my MBA in organizational behavior, all the way from mathematics to organizational behavior. Okay? So then HP sent me, when I was at HP in Australia, by the way, that was in Australia, I migrated. So remember, I was R&D, marketing, and why IT? The general manager of HP Australia asked me to take on the role of heading up IT, be the CIO of HP Australia. My first reaction was no. Because why would I engineer, marketing, go into IT? Nobody likes IT. Till I listened to my husband, and my husband basically told me, and while work matters and life, his take to me was, and this is where you have to listen to your friends, you have to listen to people who trust. And he said, you never say no to a general manager. When they give you a job, they're offering it to you, take it. Don't say no. But I had to actually listen to my husband because I was but I'm this cool person who's learned all these things, because they are biases that we carry. And the best decision I made was shifting to IT. That is the best choice I made. Where I am today is because of my knowledge of the business, knowledge of technology, knowledge of people. IT is the best role for anybody that way, because you're transforming the business, you're using technology to transform a company. And so understanding that was the best choice I made. Because of that, HP moved me to the US to restructure the entire IT for HP. And that's what I did over there. And again, I kept shifting jobs even when I was there. Okay? I worked in Germany. I didn't work in Armenia, but I worked in Germany for a short stint. My husband let me do that. I mean, he was into, it's your career. You should take it forward. That's one thing which I tell my daughter, that when you marry somebody who supports you. You are your identity, and they support you, and they work with you through it, which he did. Okay? Worked in Singapore, worked in Japan. I was able to do that. Then I told myself, I've been with HP 20 years. And this is another important thing I tell people, which is when you're so comfortable doing a job that you know inside out, it's time to change. I actually went and took a job I had no clue about. Somebody in Shell, whom I had worked with before, in Netherlands, reached out to me and said, hey, would you be willing to move to Netherlands to lead this unification? And I told my husband, you want me to go? And he said, sure, why not? Again, the best choice I made. I learned all about an energy industry. My understanding of energy was petrol stations. Joining Shell, I learned all about exploration. I went to Nigeria, I went to Russia, understood how hard it is to look for oil, search for oil, and all of that. So learned Dutch, stayed in the Netherlands for 8 years, finished my work there. Then I went back to the US. Because my daughter was going to have a baby, she wanted me to come back, so did that. I went back into the core networking industry at that point, and did that for 7 years till I moved to life sciences. But the story which I want to share with all of you is just that: take risks. Don't get stuck in one thing that you have to do. In your early career, take different roles that teach you different things. Okay? That's why I'm saying everything they said this morning, I've lived it. Okay? So, number one, you own your own destiny. Nobody does. You have to build your own confidence. You have to believe in yourself. No one else will. People will put you down, But that's okay, it is their opinion. Look at the good of what they said, which means that means you haven't conveyed your message. Come back and become self-aware of yourself, okay? Have friends and family whom you trust. Do not feel negative. I quite often will say, well, they're not really agreeing to what I'm saying. No, listen to what they're saying, okay? Early career, expand out of your comfort zone. Okay? I have a poster in my office at work. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. That's when life, because you're learning new. Okay? Curiosity. Don't ever lose curiosity. You have to keep learning. Even with AI, I tell people AI has been there for a long time. The worst is when I get into my car and I have a Mercedes, on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, it'll tell me, oh, you're going to the Cupertino Sports Center. On Wednesday, it'll tell me, if I leave office late, it'll actually tell me I'm going somewhere else. It's storing all the data. So the AI has been there. Ask yourself, what data did it store to know that about me? Be curious. Okay? Connections. I've been in the industry for a long time. The best thing that I think happened was WhatsApp and Facebook. I'm in touch with anyone and everyone I've been involved with, and we help each other. If somebody's in trouble or they have questions, I'll go help. They will help me. Then always help. Okay? And that's networks. People think you have to officially do networks, and I keep saying, no, networks are natural. Your friends can help you, their colleagues can help you, their families can help you do that. Okay? Personal time. Every morning, I give myself me time. I give myself time to just be me, relax, and do nothing else, just by myself. Okay? Volunteer. The best networking group is volunteering. Whatever time I do have, once a month, I'll tell myself, 2 days in a month, I must volunteer. You meet different kinds of people. You learn how a volunteering organization works. Like simple thing, I've been observing the FemInno organizers and the conference and the volunteers here. It's just amazing for me, and that's curiosity. How does it work? How do they stay track? What happens? But volunteer. Have a hobby. So my hobby is woodworking. My husband and I don't argue when we are making furniture. We argue all the time. But because we do woodworking, we are creating something, it needs something different, and it's fun to see the wood, different kinds of wood. Have a hobby that is different, that you can actually learn to like. Mentors. I still have mentors and coaches, and what they do is give me different perspectives. And also be a mentor. And the reason I'm saying be a mentor is because you're giving back, and by that person asking you questions, you are learning. So I learn a lot from people I'm mentoring, based on the questions they ask. So to me, those are the ways I have professionally succeeded. And I tell people, I have never applied consciously for a job where I had to send my resume and get it. It's often, I'll plan 4 years ahead where I want to get to and keep contacts who will get me there. I think that's it. Okay. Thank you.